Hey guys, ScannerDanner here. Today we're doing something real quick. My brother has a 91 Cadillac that he wants me to scope the fuel injectors to make sure they're not shorted. He's got a rough idle complaint, it runs good under load, and he said when he did an injector sound test, he listened to them all, two of them don't sound right, and this is the model that's known for shorted injectors, and we're just gonna do that real quick. Let's jump to this Caddy, see what these injectors look like. Are you kidding me? I can't make it stop. Oh. So they use in these older cars, they'll put a switch in the door that disarms the alarm. And so what that means is the driver's side switch in the door tumbler is bad. You'd think the system would be smart enough that when I go in with the key, with the VAT system chip, that it would stop that. Super rough idle on this. I think that's what Danner said the complaint is. It's a 91 Caddy. We're just gonna check this thing real quick for shorted injectors. I got some other videos to show you guys and we'll link them in here for shorted injector case studies. Also some lectures I have. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look at the injectors first and then I'll talk about it. Let's go inside. Hey, you said rough idle, right? That's his main complaint's a rough idle.
Only idle, yeah.
And then, by the way, to disarm the alarm, you have to unlock the passenger door.
I heard it going off.
So rough idle, right?
Yeah.
Runs good, rough idle.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And it smells like shit.
Yep. Okay. Real quick, Caleb, I'm not gonna go through this. Come over on the other side. Climate control panel, focus right here. Back in the day, this was state of the art, man. This climate control panel, you hit off and warmer at the same time. Watch, off and warmer, hold them in, and then it goes through a whole display. Over here, it says 7.0 on this display. It's basically asking me what I wanna do next. And then you hit buttons in sequence to pull codes, to do actuator tests. I can actually turn an EGR valve on, you know, a solenoid, and turn it on like from the climate control panel.
Cool.
Like back in the day, this was like state of the art. I have to refresh my memory on the injector connector, and if we have one, before I start speaking here, pretty sure that this is my injector connector. Oh, Caleb's gonna be proud.
Oh, what is it called?
It's my sack. Make sure you put the
graphic.
Yeah. It has been a long time, but each of these is an injector control wire, and I believe that we have a main power feed that comes in. Let me count my wires. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I think either the white one or the pink one is the main feed. So I think if we go over that guy, we'll be able to see all 8 fuel injectors, I think. Using my Pico amp clamp, every 100 millivolts on this amp clamp is 1 amp. I might want to switch to a different one, I'm not sure yet. Let's see what we get. I use this one typically for parasitic drain testing. Let's go to the lab scope, start this up, see what we got. We have shorted injectors. Right off the bat, I'm seeing it. Let me drop my time base down. I might only be looking at 4. Yeah, I'm gonna grab my other amp probe for this. I don't like this waveform. I'll be right back. The white wire is the feed for this side. The red wire is the feed for that side. So we're seeing 4 at a time on the ones I'm picking. I'm gonna switch my amp probe. I switched to this one. I actually didn't need to because it's still the same 100 millivolts per amp. It's just a smaller jaw. So I don't think this is gonna clean my picture up at all. And I don't think that I needed to switch the amp clamp. Let's see what it looks like. This thing stinks really bad. Picking up my ignition coil firings or something. I'm getting some feedback. That's what that was from before. Definitely getting some noise in here. Try to shield that as much as I can. I actually had a better waveform on the other one. Let me go back to it. Yeah, totally. Dude, talk about a nice display of a better amp probe. There was your Snap-on one I just had on there. You saw the noise and the pattern. There's the Pico one. Look how much better that is. I am picking up noise from something else, but not worried about that right now. On this bank, the white wires, one on the front bank, Danner is shorted. Well, for our viewers, as we're waiting for Danner, that's a good injector right there, where you have a, a nice ramp effect. But when you see a straight up line like that one, that is the beginnings of a shorted injector. And I know that these old Multec systems, this doesn't happen anymore as far as this particular problem. And I have lectures on this on the, in my book and in my classes. And I just want to emphasize that just because this particular problem doesn't exist the same way as it used to, this same characteristic can be seen in all solenoids that will short out or begin to short out. And not just solenoids, ignition coils too. When you see a straight up line at the beginning of a current ramp pattern, like you see that we're looking at right here, that straight up line, you never want to see it. What you want to see is like that one. You want to see a ramp initially, right? That's a counter electromotive force of the magnetic field building. And when those windings short out, you'll get a straight up line because there's no counter electromotive force initially. Lots of theory involved there. Old technology, old car, same things apply today. Just want to emphasize that. So we have stuff in classes and in the book, and people might look at that at face value and say, well, we don't really need that particular piece of information anymore. You could not be more wrong. Shorted fuel injector, for sure. Beginnings of a short. Now here's the other thing. Look at this further. There's more. Let me zoom out, see if you guys can see it. There's actually two in here that are going bad. Let's see if your eye can see it, Caleb. Let's see if Danner can see it too. So
now, do they share them
no, this is a sequential engine. Okay. So that's 4. That would be on this front back. I can tell you which one here in a minute, but that one's definitely shorting pretty bad. And so is that one next to it. You got 2 good ones on the front bank. Yeah, that's the front. Let me move over to the back. To be honest, it really doesn't, really you should be selling them all. And you can see live the shorted for sure, starting to short, good one. The spikes that are in there, I'm getting some noise from something else. Ignore the spikes. Okay. But that's the front bank. Here's our back bank. It'll be the red wire. The white wire, I believe, is my feed for the front. The red wire is the feed for the back.
So you're on the voltage feed side.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Oh. Holy got a real bad one in there. That buries my scale.
You got 2 bad ones.
Yep,
sure.
yep. Yeah, that's the back bank. So basically on the back bank you have...
So it needs 4, so you might as well do 8.
Absolutely, you have 2 bad ones on the back bank as well. One really bad one. Like that one's burying that scale. That's the main cause of your rough idle right there, is that guy. I'm surprised it's even hitting on that cylinder, Danner. I bet you it's...
You listen to it out the tailpipe.
It does sound like
hey,
it's...
man, them drag cars will run freaking 6 seconds on 7 cylinders. I can't one of these.
If this was a group-fired system, this would be a no start.
Yeah.
So that cylinder right there, yeah, you're over 10 amps of current flow. These are supposed to be 1 amp a piece.
You have another one that's starting to short.
Starting to short too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would see that with resistance readings. Probably. You
would see that with resistance readings. And of course, guys, we can synchronize this with another channel and figure out what cylinder's what. These guys are gonna want it. I'm gonna grab 1 cylinder sync and then we'll do them all and I'll tell you which ones you need.
All right, cool, I'm in.
All right, step 1. I'm gonna go between both of these feed wires. I wanna grab all 8 injectors. So I'm gonna put my amp clamper on both so I can see front bank and back bank. What's the firing order?
184356572.
Pull up the wiring diagram. Give me the number 1 injector control wire.
Red.
A is number 1 control. Is it? It's red?
Red.
Solid red? No, it's not. That's the feed.
Red and white.
Red,
white, and blue.
So see, the white wire feeds all 4 on that side. See, the red wire feeds all 4. I'm looking for the number 1. So it's a black wire. Solid black is the number 1 control wire. Solid black is gonna be this wire right here. No tracer on that. So that is my number 1 injector control wire. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a voltage reading. I'm gonna back probe that, and that'll tell me when my number 1 injector fires. And then we'll look at all of them on the red and white wires. Okay? You guys that are using Snap-on equipment, That's what the extra lead is for in this scenario right here. You have them hang out on the outside. All right, that's the right way to do it. Don't stack your grounds unless you have to. So the difference we're gonna see right off the bat before I pull the other channel on is we're gonna see all 8 in here. So pause that real quick and just kind of look at that. Use the big spike as a guide. You just count that as 1. That's 1 of the injectors. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then back to that real big one again. All 8 fuel injectors are there. So all I'm gonna do is turn on channel 2, which is a voltage trace, and we're gonna set this setting to 100 volts. Do not need an attenuator when you're using the Snap-on equipment, and that reduces voltage spikes to the scope. The Snap-on unit can handle those up to 400 volt spikes without stepping the voltage down, which is what an attenuator does. Help if I connected my ground. Get some feedback from another fuel injector in here, but that's okay. We'll pause that screen, and that's all we need. Danner, come here.
I don't want to come here anymore.
We'll plug in your firing order now.
1843657
The green trace, each time we see it, that's the number 1. So that's the number 1. That's the number 1 again. There should be 8 in between.
So I didn't hear anything on 8 or 2.
Well, it goes to show you how much the sound test kind of is misleading. That's as long as I'm on the correct injector control wire. That's important. That's if I'm on the number 1. Let's do this differently then.
Just another coil to start?
I want a different, give me, which one's black and yellow? Because I can clearly see that. All right, we're gonna use number 5 as a sync now. See if that's any different. Just to make sure that we were actually on the correct injector control wire. Pause that, zoom out, shut the car off. Okay, so this is saying 5 is shorted. I might not have been on the number 1.
Yeah, I think.
Is there another solid black wire? Oh, there is. Okay. I'm sure that I'm on the number 5 though. That's black and yellow. So does that make sense what we're looking at here? Like I'm looking at one voltage waveform. When you're looking at current flow for a circuit, this is a ground side switched component. Voltage is gonna be high when it's off. As soon as it switches down, so we're looking at the green trace as I'm talking. Voltage up here is 12. As soon as it switches low, computer grounds the circuit. That's when current flow starts. That's why you see current happen, the yellow trace, the exact same time that we're low on the green trace. And then when it lets go of that ground, we get a voltage spike from a collapse of a field. That's what that spike is there, and that's the end of the amperage waveform. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking at the feed for all the injectors. So every time an injector fires, we get a feed current flow from that location, and I'm synchronizing it with one voltage waveform, which is the number 5 in this case. You guys want more training on this? I have it. Old system, old technology, same stuff applies today. Guys, watch some of my lectures on this, man. I have so much material that talks about synchronizing waveforms and doing low current probe tests like we're doing right now for shorted components. All right, so I synced it with the number 5 this time.
That wasn't number 5, it was number 6.
Oh, come on.
Well, no, but I was gonna say it and I answered the phone and my eyes stopped.
Okay, no, that's okay. I'm synced to the number 6. So that means that this one is 6, so 6 is shorted, 5 is shorted, 7 is starting to short, 2, 1, 8 is really bad, 4 and 3.
I don't hear number 8.
Okay, good.
And I don't hear number 2 though.
Well, 2 is starting to short, but you don't hear number 8 makes me feel better. So you need number 8, you need number 6, number 5, and number 7. If we are synced, you're positive that's the number 6 cylinder, the green trace.
I couldn't hear the outer one over here and the outer one over here.
It needs 8. Look, the reason that this car needs 8 fuel injectors is these are known for shorting. It absolutely needs 4. We could question the 5th. We're done. I hope you guys learned something with this. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them here. I will link some other videos where I've done this type of testing. Coils that short, ignition coils, fuel injectors, solenoids, it's all the same type of stuff. Caleb and I thank you guys so much for being with us, both here on YouTube and on Premium. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you guys. So I hope you learned something. We'll see you guys next time. So I'm not like, hey, I'm back. No, we already did that. We already had the intro.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's our caddy.
We're gonna show that too after numbers on the caddy. It sounds a lot better. Does it stink real bad anymore?
Oh, no.
How do they do that?
Yeah. Isn't that like wine tasting?
I don't know. Yeah.
So swirl it around a little bit, be like.
And then they spit it out too,
Yeah,
don't they?
Yeah. So
like,
they don't, well, the drunker you get, the better it tastes, man. You gotta spit it out.
Yeah. We don't have Danner mic'd up today because we don't want to get too close to him.
I don't want that thing.
I have the remnants of a head cold that Caleb gave me. Anyway, we don't need to leave this run unless maybe we should for a little bit.
Just because I want to make sure it don't leak fuel.
It smells a lot better. I'm sure it's still pretty contaminated in there, but purring like a kitten. Except it's got a service CCR light on, whatever the hell that means. I forget. Yes, sir.
It was just an idle where it was bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't smell gas.
How much were the injectors?
So they were like $90 a piece.
That's not.
No, but I mean,
that's better than 200 a piece.
I was like, dude, you're gonna have like $1,100 in this thing. You know what I mean? He's like, should I do them all? I'm like, yeah, but you're gonna have, X amount. And he was like, well, I guess I got to do it. Found some online where you could buy a whole set of 8 for like $350 instead of like 800 for 7 something. You know what I mean? I said, I found one online, so they shipped them to me, and they gave me 7.
Are you serious?
And it might not have been their fault because the package was an air mail, like vanilla envelope that should have had a flap with its own seal.
Yeah.
And it was folded over and taped with packing paper. So it might have got sliced in a machine. And you know what I mean? And one just disappeared.
What did you do with that one?
Well, I called and ordered one expensive one. You know what I mean? So if there's an imbalance, if you find it, it's because there's one BWD and 7.
That's good information, because I'll be like, what is going on here?
But all I did was open up the pack, just didn't even pay attention. I'm just putting one at a time. I opened, I'm like 2 left and I got 1. I'm like, I never even opened the package and looked. You know what I mean?
Did you start looking around the ground?
I did. I was everywhere. I was like, I called Bob too. When you moved that package, did you open
sucks.
it? He's like, no, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
But like I said,
carparts.com is where you got it. So if anybody's interested on these Multec ones,
they were super, you know what I mean, reasonable. You know what I mean? They were new. They weren't rebuilt, and it fit any of these Cadillac engines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, all I'm doing for this caddy, guys, I'm just gonna redo our amperage measurements so I can show you guys the after. I'm not gonna try to synchronize it and figure out which one's which of the 8. I'm just gonna show you all 8, and we're gonna say thumbs up and send this car away. All right, so the main connector for the pump, I'm just going over the red and white wires again, which are the 2 main feeds for each bank. And we're gonna see all 8 of the injectors. And as my brother had mentioned, one of the injectors is a different manufacturer, so we may see a little bit different characteristics, maybe. All right, these look really good. One of the things that I can tell you guys right off the bat, if you remember, is we have a little bit of noise in this waveform. The same noise we had before, but this looks great. I'm now on a 5 amp, and actually let me do this. Let me zoom, let me get a real nice capture, and then we'll zoom out on it. I'll set this down to, I think we were actually on a 10 amp before because of how high some of the other ones were. So the before and after is gonna be a little different. I'm gonna set this on a 5 amp. I'll pause that and then zoom out. And this will give us the clearest waveform that we can have. And I do see the one Danner was talking about. That's freaking awesome.
Is it gonna be the little dud right there?
Yeah. I mean, you could call it a little dud, but count that as 1, 2, now not in firing order, it doesn't matter, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then back to 1. This is a great lesson on why you don't want to sometimes overanalyze a amperage waveform when it comes to ignition coils and fuel injectors, because a different manufacturer is going to exhibit different characteristics And that's clearly what we're seeing right there. I could show that even better. To be clear, this is fixed. There's no problems with this car. It's gonna get shipped like this. This is just me now zooming in further to show you guys characteristic differences and other things you can see in injector waveforms, which is like the mechanical opening of an injector, which is called a pintle hump. And I'm gonna talk about that here, but the bird's eye view here of this is fixed. This looks great. That's all 8 on the screen. Starting the one to the left, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, back to 1. Again, not in firing order sequence. You can really see that injector, that single injector that has a different ramp, just a different manufacturer. All right, so let's zoom in on him. And when we talk about injector pintle humps, we're talking about the area about right in there. It's about halfway up the ramp on this injector. It's a little tiny little blip right there in the screen. Let's go out a little bit more and maybe you'll see it better. Yeah, pretty tough to see it, but it's about halfway up the ramp on that one. And then let me show you one of the other ones. Look at this guy. It's not quite halfway up the ramp and a completely different look to it. So when is this injector opening? That little dip is a mechanical opening of the injector. Delta time is 1.45 milliseconds on that one. And let's see what the next injector shows us. Much more pronounced pintle hump. And that one's in roughly the same, 1.52 milliseconds. So the timing is the same as far as how, you know, when it opens. Yeah, there's 1.4 in that location, right at the very bottom of the dip. 1.42, 1.5. So the injectors are opening the same amount of time it's taking for the injector to mechanically open. But man, look at the difference in the waveform. What do you do with those captures? In this scenario, absolutely nothing. Everything's fine. But imagine if you get this car in down the road. Let's say this is Joe Schmo's garage. It's a year from now, and he's got a single-cylinder Misfire. And he's learned from guys like me and other people in the field on how to do injector current measurements and how these are the Multec 1 injectors, and they're known for shorting out. And he's aware of these things. And so he's focused on the injectors maybe right away, and he sees this particular waveform on a specific cylinder, identifies it as that cylinder and says, hey, we have a problem here. No, we don't. These injectors were replaced and one injector is from a different manufacturer. So put that in your memory bank. Really, really important. It's important for ignition coils. It's important for fuel injectors. And I have had these where it made me walk the wrong path for a little bit. One was with my class at the school. I teach at a technical college, for you guys that don't know. And I'm doing this car live with my students. And we're talking about this particular waveform, and it was on an ignition coil. And here it turned out that this car had, I believe, a fuel injector issue. And we were focused on the ignition coil current ramp pattern because of how much different it looked. We were barking up the wrong tree. Guys, I hope you learned something. Thanks for joining us. And we're grateful for my brother for giving us this opportunity to be here and get a follow-up for this. We weren't sure that we were. We're thankful for that. Caleb, thanks for being here with me too. Thank you guys. See you next time. And that's where I pull it in. I showed you the scan tool, right? And the inside. Where's the hood release? I don't remember. It's been so long. This is amateur hour here. Where is it? I don't remember. Oh, there it is. It doesn't stay up. Hey, where's your hood prop thing? It took me 5 minutes to figure out where the hood release was. Yeah. It's been so long. Oh, what is that?
The Rabbids? You never watched the Rabbids?
Oh,
dude, you gotta watch the Rabbids.
I think I've seen that.